Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my podcast, The Foyne Jones Show, Season 7, as he points to his marketing behind. Season 7 is underway. So far, we've had 4 fantastic episodes where we've spoken about all things resilience, and our guests have shared their stories. They've given advice to the next generation, and we've got to know them inside business and outside of business. So today, I'm joined virtually. I'm joined by Dave Yearsley from Kalo. How are you, Dave?
I'm great, thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, listen, it's an absolute pleasure. You've been highly recommended. You're a VIP invite of our sponsors, Carousel. So you're under no pressure at all.
Okay.
And if you heard the double donut story, if you heard Marcus Smythe's career in the double donut story and Steve Isaac's resilience of battling from a elite level badminton player, he still regrets not following the football route. But he went down the badminton route, one of the best players in the country for ages, and spoke about how he turned that into a professional sales career. So we will talk about people's journeys, we'll talk about the industry itself. But Dave, for the benefit of those that may not know you, they may be tuning in for the first time, just take a few moments to introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you're doing at the moment.
So my name is Dave Yearsley. I live in a lovely part of the world, Stratford-upon-Avon, born and bred. And have a lovely family, grown up, a son and a daughter now have grown up and flown the nest, and my wife and I live in a lovely home in Stratford. I've never worked in Stratford. I've worked all over the world in mainly for majority of my career. When I first started out, I managed to get into a company called Brita Water Filters that I'm sure a lot of you know, and it was the start of their journey as a new business. And I was very fortunate. Over 23 years, I had 15 jobs with them, mainly in sales, marketing, building new businesses, working on new product development. So I was exposed to so much in an early part of my career, traveled around the world, ran projects in Asia, America, Europe, and then pretty much came back and ran the commercial side of the UK business. Which was great fun, dealing with big customers, Tesco's, Amazon, the sort of creation of the whole online piece, which I was heavily involved in. And then I decided I really wanted to challenge myself in something totally different. I've been in an industry that was quite niche for 23 years. And I got approached, headhunted by a huge company called Haier, who are the biggest white goods company in the world. They're a Chinese organization. They own companies like Hoover Candy, Fisher & Paykel, and they wanted to establish the Haier brand in Europe and more so the UK. And they hadn't got a very good reputation. So I thought, that's a great challenge, very competitive market, saturated, but hey, let's see what I can do. And went on this incredible journey for 4 years with them, spent a lot of time in China, understanding their sort of core strengths in manufacturing, where I thought they could add real value to our market, and went on this journey with a new strategy, new product portfolio, and built a very strong foundation business in the UK. We established great relationships with the likes of Currys, AO.com, John Lewis, and got it to a certain stage. And then it was at that time, sort of 3 years ago, I was thinking, what do I really want to do? I'm coming to an age of sort of 55. What do I want to do in that sort of last phase of my career in the corporate world? And I thought, wouldn't it be fantastic if I could get involved with the brands as a startup? I've been in that corporate space for so long, had loads of experiences, but what if I actually had the challenge of helping create something from scratch? So decided to start looking around. And then Kevin, the founder of Kalo, young designer, created this fantastic technology that he's patented. And it's an integrated wine chiller that goes into the worktops and the kitchen market. And he approached me and said, Dave, look, I'm a young designer. I'm making lots of mistakes in the commercial side of the business. I need some help. He'd got a lot of good people around him, but just needed someone who was prepared to get their jacket off, get stuck in, help build the foundations. So I joined them 3 years ago, and it's been a bit of a perfect storm those first 2 years, because we had COVID-2 straight away when I joined, which was really tough. We managed during that time, though, to develop a new range of products. We've got a great guy who also joined the team, a guy called Neil Edwards, who was the ex-Dyson global manufacturing director. He works on his own now. And he came on board to really help us redesign the product, to make it, offer it more capability to be mass-produced. And we went on this journey, managed to get through COVID-2. We launched at KBB 2 years ago, and the day later, Ukraine happened, and 2 or 3 of the parts that we had for our new range, we couldn't get for 9 months. So I had COVID-2.
Okay, so just at that moment, Dave, you've got. I've got to take, because this is an example of resilience. And
Yeah,
this is like, you go into the armed forces, no plan survives contact, and it sounded like the Kalo, the entrepreneur behind Kalo, surrounded himself with the right people. Yourself, Dave, and Neil, that could bring the stability and perhaps the plan into play, and take advantage of the genius that created it, and make it move the right way. You've navigated your way through the second hardest passage of play that we knew, because the first COVID, those are short shell-shocking moments of like March, April, May 2020 were pretty humbling for everyone. You've navigated your way through COVID-2. You press go at the KBB show, and then you can't get free bits for your Kalo. So that, I imagine, is an example of resilience. We've got to explore that, Dave. It just goes with the theme of the show.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it was a really tough time, because Kevin had been trying to build the business for about 4 or 5 years, and a lot of our kitchen dealers that we supply, they will love the product, but as always, it's confidence. Will this product be around in 2 years' time? And, so the KBB was a massive investment for us. We put everything we had into that launch at KBB. And, of course, we gained massive traction. Around 200 stores wanted to display our product. And, for 9 months, we couldn't supply them anything. So I think that the biggest thing we really focused on was keeping that communication open with all our customers, making them aware every single step of what we were doing, how we were trying to, take the business forward. I had a couple of really good sales guys that in Jason and Neil were helping us a lot. And I think that's the worst thing is customers don't, if there's silence, that's the worst thing. So it was monthly updates and making sure, and I would even go and out there, no issue, visiting customers, explaining the situation. And we got through it. And then we started to supply the product. But unfortunately, during that first 2 years, it had really affected us financially, because, you're trying to get a business off the ground and it's not generating the sales because of those challenges that we'd had. So what I had to really do, tough decisions, but I had to restructure the business financially at the end of last year. And unfortunately, we had to cut the team to a smaller number. We had certain people were retiring as well. So it enabled us to look at the restructure. And now we're rebuilding from scratch. And what we're doing is, I'm really focused on the commercial side now. We've got the products, so it's now about realizing the execution within the kitchen space. And I've got a great board behind me who've invested and supported. I've invested in the business as well. Neil has. So we're all in this together to create something new, and we're very committed to it. And it's now about building blocks. It's now starting to build those building blocks and have a control of cost base that is manageable. And invest then in the future as we start to see the market improve, because obviously one of the bigger challenges is we're in a really tough market at the moment in the kitchen market, not only in the UK but globally. But we've just got to find ways through it, and I think big part of the direction of the team is, look, if we can come out of this tough market conditions in a great place, we can then open up so much opportunity for us, not only in the kitchen market, but with our product, with the technology that Kevin's created. Neil can now create it, and we can go into hospitality, we can go into the yacht market, we can go into anywhere that you associate yourself with having a cold beverage. We've got now technology. But the kitchen market, I've always said, is going to be the heartland. It's going to be the foundations of our business. We want to support it long term. We want to bring innovation to our customers to support them, and also create partnerships, because I'm not an expert in certain channels, so Marcus Smith coming along from Carousel, he called me, Dave, I love your product. Is there any way we can have a collaboration together? And we met, we got on brilliantly, which is so important, having that relationship, because there are some good times and tough times, but we get on really well. And he's so behind the product. So we've now agreed to have a partnership with them under their brand of Carousel, and they're trying to distribute our technology as part of a package more in their channels, and we're trying to focus direct with the kitchen's independents, and we're trying to attack it from in parallel together. And then to really help, I'm also trying to look at global partners. So we've signed up a partner in America. We've now signed up a great partnership for the marine market globally. And now we're looking to go into India and Asia. So yeah, it's exciting times. But one thing that is very clear to me and always has been, it's hard work, and you have to work even harder to build things, even more so when it's in a tough environment.
I was talking about working hard the other day. you were saying you're in your mid-50s. My next birthday is my 50th, and I'm saying, well, I'm very lucky. I'm quite privileged. I own my business. I'm accountable to myself. I'm accountable to my team. I can work flexibly if I want to, but I often joke that I work 30 hours a day, 8 days a week. But why do I work so hard? I genuinely love what I do. That's the starting point, is I love what I do. And I think that you learn perhaps as you get older and wiser, to pick your battles differently. I'm very good now at choosing when I want to work hard and recognizing when I need to take a break. And for me, mental health, fitness, well-being is really important to me. I'm not, and I say this all the time, I'm not a 5 a.m. in the morning, hang upside down, have a nice cold bath, change the world, before 8 o'clock type of person. But I really enjoy running. I really enjoy taking time to relax. I really enjoy that, and I share that story with others, because I think that's a way of really putting some positives out there. With a couple of other guys, I really pushed the KBB Running Club, not because I'm the fastest or I run the furthest in it. I don't. I just chiv away. But what I know is that if I'm doing my run and I'm taking a photo of me at Brighton Beach, or I'm taking a photo of whatever, and someone else is up in the Lake District, or someone's in the mountains in Wales, it gets infectious in you, and it builds that community, which I think is so important. You spoke about community. Well, you spoke about over communicating with your customers, who effectively are that community that as a startup with a sexy product, because that's what it is. It's a product where you go, yeah, I like that, and that straight away is the starting point. But if you can't supply it, and you can't install it, and you can't deliver it, and you can't give it to me in my showroom, and I want it in my showroom because I've seen it now, and I want it now because I'm excited now. Over communicating is a dark art, but it's so much better than what you mentioned, silence. Because in my world, we don't supply products, we work with people, we introduce people. And the single biggest complaint any recruitment company, anyone involved in hiring a member of staff will get, isn't the bad news of being unsuccessful. You might not agree with that, but you can deal with it. It's not being communicated to, being ignored, people disappearing or vanishing from the interview process. You've told me you're on a bus on the way. What's happened? It's so treating people with respect, doing the right thing. It comes through to that. So was that period when you couldn't supply? Go back to how important was that communication? It must have been sacrosanct to be able to go again when you had the product.
Yeah, it was so important, and actually we've learned from it that we tended to use the sales guys going in to see customers. We tended to email regularly on a monthly basis, and on reflection, advice would be, people have so many emails. Just pick up the phone and have a quick call with them and let them know what you're doing. And I think that's what we've learned. If we could change it, improve it, not necessarily change it. I think it's that quick phone call, have a voice that they can relate to Kalo as opposed to just an email, because they get hundreds of emails. And it's great because now I'm on the road calling on all the dealers myself.
How many, Dave, I like these sorts of, I like this. How many emails do you get, roughly?
I probably get, 200 a week?
Yeah. So I would say I'm in the thousands. The amount of messages I get on LinkedIn, and I respect them because I go look. I put my content out there, so I want inbound to come. But you get so many. I absolutely adore when someone's been sneaky, hardworking, or just bold enough to get my mobile number, type it in their phone, and ring it. I'm like, fair play. Don't send me an email and hope I'm well. Don't do, just get me excited. And that I think so important. So the personal touch was really, really critical for you during that time.
Absolutely. And
excellent. As you went on the journey, and it's it's fascinating because again, I know the brands you mentioned who you work for, of course you know them, but you said something else, and I think this is another message when we are going through tougher times. We all want to surround ourselves with tough people, and if you do it alone, it can be very, very unforgiving. But you spoke about two words which are very close to my heart, and I just want to go back to them as you went through the journey. You spoke about the importance of partnerships, and you spoke about the importance of collaboration. Those two synergies can make everything you do stronger if they're done well, I guess. And is that could we just dive back onto that? So I thought they were powerful points.
Yes, sure. No, it's we believe all of our dealers are partners, and I know they have so many products, and they have they're there in their focus is to sell a kitchen, and we're a tiny bit of the cog, but we believe we're a very important part of it. So, it's making sure that they feel that we're trying to ensure that the supply is there. Also, we're listening to them. So we've made a lot of changes with our pricing of our products, with what we offer them as a package, because we've listened to them. And I think sometimes that is a massive thing that's missed. And we have changed the business a lot in the last 12 months, and we will continue to it based on listening to our customers. And that, to me, is the big part that creates the partnership, because they believe, actually, Dave and the team have listened to us. They're making certain changes to help promote the business for us in a better way, and that gives them confidence then to want to promote our product. And so it's a win-win. But I think, if I look back in my career, there's so many times working for other people and working in situations myself where you didn't listen, and you don't succeed in those certain things. That's one of the biggest things that I've learned over the years. And as a background, I'm a salesman, really. We're not the best listeners sometimes because we like to talk. We like to hear our own voice.
Dave, never forget, the ability to sell is a superpower, right?
Yeah.
But if you can listen and retain information as well as sell, then you're going to go to the moon, man. Like then you can achieve everything, can't you?
Absolutely. And outside of work, I believe I'm a very good communicator, but the biggest thing I've learned, especially since I've worked in a small business, is listening, and how much more I've learned from other people in all forms of life, and I think the trouble is sometimes you get in a senior role and you're directing people and you're not listening enough to what they're giving back to you. Because I think it's the most powerful thing that you can do nowadays in business, in life generally. It's just listen to anybody, because the power of social media and the internet.
It's sometimes for me, it can be a challenge sometimes, because I naturally want to talk. I naturally want to be part of a conversation. So being able to train yourself to let others go. And come in at the right time. It's amazing. When I listen back to some of my very, very first episodes of this show, not recently, I mean back in 2018, 19, I didn't even need a guest, because it was just me chatting rubbish. And you learn that actually you've got to have a flow, and in business, in your personal life, and I do think the young salesman in me, the young sales rep, the young sales manager, the young sales director, was, I want to be this, I want that, I want that. And then you come the other way, and now I look at what I do, and I'm proud of our service. I'm proud of our attention to detail. We are creative. We do it in our way. I'm never going to use the words better, because I think that's arrogant, but I think there's an experience that comes with working with my business, and it lends itself to some projects and businesses and brands better than it does others. And that's okay, because you can't, you've got to, if you're a premium product, you don't put yourself in the pound shop, do you? And it's where you go there. So I think from my podcast perspective, Dave, one of the idea of this series is to talk about resilience. All right, you've explained that the power of partnerships and collaboration are important. You've actually brought to life the power of being silent and listening. And that's a strong message we can send to anyone who's listening to this show, is that taking a moment and taking a breath is really important. We're going to break now, but when we come back from the break, on the other side, we are going to talk to you about what your passions are when you're not at work. And we will dive a little bit into your plans with the business for the future in the coming months and years ahead. And then we'll end by giving some advice to those on different stages and different journeys of their career. But thanks very much, Dave. That's the first half of episode 5 of the Foyne Jones Show, season 7.
With over 35 years of global expertise in crafting, designing and delivering high-quality kitchen solutions, Carousel offers an unmatched variety of products including surfaces, sinks, taps and appliances designed to elevate and transform any culinary space.
Welcome back to the Foyne Jones Show. This episode, I've been joined by Dave Yearsley from Kalo, and what Dave and I have been talking about is his journey. Where it began with Brita water filters, taking you global, then building that business here in the UK, your time with Haya, and then more importantly, what you're doing right now with Kalo, the business, the brand, and the future. But let's get down to the dirty. Let's get down to the fun side of Foyne Jones, and dirty is the right word, because you've got a rugby shirt behind you. That support I get. That sport, is an example of resilience from the minute that whistle goes to the minute it goes to you walk off the pitch. From crossing the right line and crossing the white line the other way. So, where did your passion for rugby begin, Dave?
Probably at school. I started as I mentioned, I'm from Stratford-upon-Avon, very good junior club. They're big into their bringing the minis through and development of the minis. So I started playing rugby through school, through my local club at the age of 8. My dad took me down the club, and we used to go and watch Leicester Tigers. And it it just very quickly, I loved it. I was into sport where, I played any sport. I played golf, I played badminton, squash, but rugby, what I loved about it was I like the contact. It probably helps. It gets rid of the bit of the aggression in you on a Saturday, and the frustrations. But I just loved being in the changing rooms and the banter and that whole experience of a relationship with a group of guys. And even when we meet up now, we're like school kids again. We sit around a table in a pub and, we start on each other as if we hadn't, it was like yesterday. So I think, and that comes from the way that you collectively come together as a team and the way you play together on the field, with the same direction. And of course you have challenges and frustrations, and not everybody gets on all the time, but the teams the really successful teams I've played with, you can see the strong leadership, the culture, and I've got friends now that, as I say, I bump into a weekend, and it's part of my life. It's part of my DNA. The other thing, just to touch on, I have a charity that I set up many, many years ago, and back to resilience. I spent 5 years trying to persuade the famous Jonah Lomu to be our ambassador for our charity, because he suffered from the condition that there's the charity that I founded, because my son also was diagnosed with the same condition. And it took me 5 years, and one of the best days of my life outside my family, I did a press launch at Twickenham with Jonah Lomu, who became the ambassador of the charity, with my son, my daughter, the family. Wow. And oh my God, he was my idol, because he changed rugby. He transformed rugby. And to be alongside him,
I always remember that clip. And I'm not the biggest rugby fan, But that moment when I think it was one of the Underwoods tried to stop him, didn't they?
Yeah.
And he just
in South Africa in the World Cup.
It was just like a rocket.
Yeah. Honestly, Peter, his forearms are the same size as my legs. He's just an incredible guy. Yeah. So those are the two things I'm passionate about.
Rugby does transcend, Dave, though, into business, and fair play to you. 5 years of resilience to get him to be the ambassador for a charity that means so much to you. Yeah. One of my favourite big business books is Legacy, about the All Blacks. That's an amazing book.
Great book.
And it's
great book.
That's one of my favourites. And interestingly, when my son was training to do a P company for the parachute regiment, when he was going through training, and that's a test of everything, probably more mental than physical, because they're all fit lads, but they use that book even there to give you examples of how you should behave, how you should respect your teammates, how you should treat others, what you should do, and it's an amazing book, isn't it? And that comes, I guess, from the greatest sports team of all time, as for a while
the most successful sports team of all time. And like you say, that book, and when there's an example of humbleness. They used to sweep their changing rooms after a game and clean up before they then went out. So it's those little things of respect.
Dave, what's really important there, and this is the cynical getting me, but what's really important there is they did it before there was Twitter and TikTok, and before it was shared on social media. They just did it and left.
Yeah, but back to resilience,
because you do see a lot of these. You see some staged examples of kindness now, don't you?
Yeah, you do. But there's resilience, because there's one of the greatest teams in the world kept failing to win World Cups, and they had to reinvent themselves to really understand that they'd moved away from their culture and what was good about them as a team, and they refound it and they brought it back, and then the next time they won the World Cup. So it just shows, doesn't it? Sometimes you have to learn, and so, it's incredible. Yeah.
Staying on the rugby, Dave.
Okay.
Are you still turning out for any vets teams or any charity games? Do you still stretch the legs?
No, unfortunately, I've had to have a couple of quite tough operations due to all those years of battering my body. So unfortunately, no, I had to give up. But since then, I've done a lot with the charity. I've done London Marathon. I've done about 6 or 7 triathlons. I've done, try and keep myself reasonably fit, and I do other things to support the charity and to be honest, for my own well-being. I like to do exercise for just me as well. So, but yeah, I'm always striving, as my wife always said. My wife always say, "You never seem to be happy with what you're trying to achieve." And I said, "Well, I'm always learning. That's why. It's that process, isn't it?"
Well, you never want to get there, do you? Because if you get there, you've got nowhere to go. You've got to keep trying to get somewhere else, haven't you? I think that's that's part of it. But and rugby, your passion for rugby's took you onto. It's got you the whistle and the coaching as well. You've done some coaching as well.
I've done, so my son, all his age group through Minis Rugby, I was the head coach for that age group. So learned a lot about that, having to deal with the parents and other teams and the kids growing up, so that was a fantastic experience as well. I learned so much from it, and still have great friends that I've made through that journey of rugby as well.
Fantastic. I admire anyone that plays rugby to any level at all, because honestly, I want to control the football on my chest, pass it to you, run over there and not get smashed to the floor. That's the world I'm in. But I do think it's a game where, and we were talking before we recorded, and I think it's such a great message to send to kids of all shapes and sizes, boys and girls. My closest friend, his daughter's playing rugby, and she absolutely loves it. She loves it, and to see her, getting out there now, and the boys and girls doing it, and because of the difference in the formations, you can be small, quick and tricky. You can be big and strong. You can be short and low-centred, and you can all get involved, can't you? Which I think makes it, it goes away from we're only going to pick the strongest, quickest and whatever, It does change, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to see how the ladies' rugby now is developing as well. Watching some of it nowadays, it's fantastic, and it should be. Very skillful individuals. So the whole sport is growing in all aspects, which is good to see.
Well, whether it's a spectator in the stands, whether it's a coach on the sidelines, wherever your rugby journey takes you, or even with your old mates in the pub, which sounds a really good place to be, really, sharing stories and having that banter, because you never lose that, do you? Not with the people that you really grew up with and that you really play with. It's always there. It's the same when I go and watch the football. I'm going to watch the football now as a 50-year-old. I'm going into the pub meeting people that I went to football with when I was 12 years old. We used to bunk off school and go to away games together. Now we're turning up with our children and our families together. It's there's special times, aren't they, when you think about it? So thank you for sharing that passion. Thank you for sharing the passion for rugby. Dave, going back into the current position and what you're doing now, let's talk about what the future looks like for you and your business now. What's coming next for us? What can you share with us, Dave?
So we are very much focused on building the kitchen market with our kitchen dealers. We've restructured, as I said. We've got a new package that we're offering dealers, lower price positioning that gives them more opportunity with us. So that's still our core business. However, what we've decided to do as a new board is we're going to set up a separate venture underneath our group, and we're going to license our technology to the new business. And we're going to start, because we've got Neil Edwards, the ex-Dyson manufacturing expert, and also he's just a fantastic engineer. He wants to develop new product with the technology that we can then sell more into hospitality and maybe different usage at home, so more portability. And he's developing an app where the customers can actually control their temperature as opposed to just maintaining it at a certain level. So the whole idea is to really expand the business in many different directions around the kitchen market over the next 2 or 3 years. And we're actually looking for investment, private investment. We have private shareholders that are investing in this new venture. But if there's anybody out there that has and wants to jump on board in a really exciting new venture, and also be part of, helping us in that process. I spend a lot of time with the shareholders, getting their input to see, because that's what we want. We want investors that have different experiences. I mean, ideally, somebody in the hospitality market would be amazing, to bring that expertise in. So, yeah, really exciting times ahead. And, yeah, we want Kalo technology to be almost synonymous with any beverage that I want you to, every time you go into a restaurant, hotel, at home, we want Kalo technology to be the norm in the future. And that's our vision as a business over the next sort of 4 or 5 years.
I mean, what a vision to have as well. And I mean, that's the passion comes through. And I think you'll find investment. I think there could be someone from the hospitality leisure world listening to this show when it goes to air. But what I can do from a Peter Raymond Jones and a Boyne Jones show perspective is tell that story and share that message and make sure that from this podcast and any other work we do together, we keep putting that out there, because we put this show on in partnership with our sponsors, Carousel. Shout out to Marcus Smythe. Like you, like me, he believes in collaboration, he believes in partnerships, and he believes in working with good and talented people. And that's how I make my living. That's what my business is all around. It's about recognising good people and seeing, Dave, not just what they can do today, is seeing what they can do in the medium and long term. And I think that's where I want to take this conversation next as we wrap things up. It's to lean on your years of experience, not just here in the UK but across the globe, and just think of some advice you can give to help inspire others who are at different stages of their journey, or are perhaps coming to where you was when you reached that pinnacle of a corporate career and you wanted to try something slightly different. I mean, resilience transcends so many different parts of people's working life, personal life, private life, but focusing it on inspiring others. What message would you like to say to people, Dave?
I think the most important thing is, and I know this gets used quite a lot, but don't be frightened to make mistakes. Because I think there's so much pressure on the younger generation now that, especially with social media and the mobile phone, the way the younger generation, their life is revolved around it. Everybody is petrified if they don't look good, or, they make mistakes, or, life is about experiences. And I've certainly made many mistakes, but as long as you're learning from them, and don't be frightened. I think the other thing is to have a go at something different, because I think it's so easy to sort of protect yourself in a little bubble and think, as long as I just stay along this path, nobody's going to tell me off. No, I'm not going to do anything wrong. Or whereas actually, if you spread your wings and you go out and just try and experience different things, then it's amazing. Just having one conversation with somebody that's in a totally different environment to you, the energy and something that could open up for you. And I think that's really important. And I think my last bit of advice is talk to as many people. If network with as many people, not through email, not you've got to talk to people. Go and meet people, or pick the phone up and talk to them, because a lot of people, I think, will respect that and they'll want to help you. And again, I think most of my jobs in my career are from conversations I've had with somebody. Not necessarily, somebody applying for a job. I don't think I've ever applied for a job, to be honest. In my career so far. It's come through people I've met.
Never, not one.
No, I don't think I have. Honestly, it's
not one ever. Fair. There you go. So that's a. I mean, if you break that advice down, what you said there, and you take the three headlines of that. life is about experiences.
Yeah.
Let's start there, because that's the most powerful bit of advice I think anyone can share. Life is about doing, it's about experience, it's about feeling. Don't be scared of making mistakes. And that's one of the biggest people. I love working for him. Still call him boss. I haven't worked for him for 30 years probably. I mean, maybe even longer than that. Still call him boss. He used to say to me, he said, "You're really good at saying sorry. So don't ever stop trying. Just keep going and keep trying and keep learning and keep trying something different." That's great advice. So we're highlighting that life is about experiences. We're not going to be scared about making mistakes. And then you've gone old school. You've gone network, talk, and listen.
Yeah.
Network, talk, and listen. Yeah. Network, talk, and listen. You almost go repeat to fade, because that's so important. I loved what you said about talk to people from different industries. I learn more from people who've got nothing to do with building products, nothing to do with kitchens, nothing to do with bathrooms. I learn more from them than I do from the world I'm kind of almost implanted in every day. And why is that? I think it's because it's different, it's exciting. You're just naturally curious when you don't know what it's all about. You want to learn more. So that's fantastic advice. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dave. And
my pleasure.
Honestly, from my perspective, when I bring guests on, whether it's virtually in a recording studio, however we're having a conversation, to get someone to be so honest and so open about what they're doing with the business, about the challenges they faced, what the future looks like, and a love and passion for rugby and competitive sport. You've been a brilliant guest. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation, Dave.
I absolutely loved it. Yeah, really enjoyed it, Peter. Thanks for your time.
Well, thank you so much for being part of the show. Before we finish, I'm recording this on Monday, so it's not going to be out for a couple of weeks, but it's Monday the 24th of June, and I woke up and I was coming into work, and I was getting some text messages, and have you seen this, have you seen that, and I kind of ended up on a LinkedIn post, and you mentioned about innovation, you mentioned about people that really lead and create and make a difference. Since 2017 or 18, Foyne Jones have worked proudly with a video software partner. And that was when video technology wasn't trendy. That's when we hadn't been through a global pandemic, so we hadn't done Teams calls or Zoom meetings or anything like that. So they were real pioneers. And tragically and unexpectedly, the CEO, Ryan McCabe of Odro, lost his life on Saturday. We've been partners of theirs and clients of theirs for a long time. He led a brilliant team. I didn't know him that well personally at all, but he's people that have worked for him. There's been such a outpouring of grief and a real loss. A young man, young family, taken suddenly. I just wanted to say, Ryan, rest in everlasting peace, because it's hard. It was a heartbreaking story to read, and I think when you talk about some of your points there about life is about experiences, don't be afraid to go out there and do stuff. That's another example of why we shouldn't take anything for granted, and we should make every day count. So I want to dedicate this episode to Ryan and his wonderful family and his wonderful colleagues at Odro. They are a brilliant business to work with. He was a brilliant leader, and I think a friend to many inside and outside of the industry. So thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. That is a poignant way to end episode 5 of the Foyne Jones Show. Dave, as I said, you've been a brilliant guest. We're all over Kalo. We're all over the future. You're going to get your technology invested in. You're working with brilliant partners with the Carousel team as well. We will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. That is the end of episode 5 of season 7 of the Foyne Jones Show. Thank you.